Something within you has been waiting for this exact moment for a very long time. Not in the way you wait for answers or for relief to arrive. More like the way a body waits after learning that safety might never fully come. A quiet suspension, a low hum in the background that no amount of rest, stillness, or starting over somewhere new has ever completely silenced. You function, you show up, you move through your days and handle what's required. And still, not all of you is fully present. A part of your awareness seems to hover just above wherever you are. Some essential weight that should rest inside your body lingers just beyond it. Close enough to feel like presence. Far enough that you've always felt slightly incomplete. Like a version of yourself that is almost here. This is not a disorder. Not a clinical trauma response. Not spiritual avoidance. Not something that more healing techniques will eventually fix on their own. What you've been experiencing, sometimes your whole life, sometimes since your earliest memory, has a name within the Arcturian framework. It's called incomplete incarnation, and the Arcturian Council is transmitting now because the energetic window to address this structural pathway is open, and it won't remain open forever. Feel the surface beneath you, the chair, the floor, the bed. Let your body's weight press into it. You are here. And you're about to become more fully here than you may have ever been. The Arcturian Council does not observe incarnation from a distance. They've been studying the precise energetic structure of starseed embodiment across thousands of cycles, tracking when and how a soul's landing sequence becomes disrupted and what that interruption costs over a lifetime. Their work is exact. What brought you here wasn't random. Before your conscious mind made any decision, your field recognized a signal. What appears to the ordinary mind as an algorithmic suggestion is, from your higher self's perspective, a coordinated retrieval. The suspended part of your field identified this frequency as something it had been waiting for, and it guided you here. The energetic context matters. Right now, we are within what the Arcturian Council calls a root saturation window. A period where the Schumann resonance, Earth's electromagnetic frequency at 7.83 hertz, is operating at an elevated amplitude, even for an active solar phase. The Earth is calling unanchored fields back home. Souls in partial incarnation feel this pull intensifying toward full embodiment. You may have noticed it recently, the restlessness, the longing, the sense that something is trying to complete itself but you can't quite name it. This transmission is designed to work with that planetary pull. What you're about to receive is not a typical meditation. It's a structural completion. What begins here ends with an anchor reaching the ocean floor, and it completes today. Let me reflect your life back to you. See if it lands as recognition rather than just an idea. You've always felt, no matter where you are, like the environment is slightly too loud, slightly too dense. As if you're experiencing your own life through a thin, nearly invisible layer that softens the full impact of reality. You engage, you participate. By all external measures, you're present. But when you're alone, there's a clear sense that you performed presence rather than truly inhabited it. Being fully in your body is difficult. Not in a way that stops you from functioning, but in subtle ways you've adapted to over time. Sensations arrive slightly delayed. Pleasure rarely reaches full depth. Even in calm moments, there's a lingering sense of floating, of never quite settling into your own life. You live mostly in your head. Because that's the part of you that completed the descent. The lower body, hips, legs, feet, can feel unfamiliar, almost like borrowed structure. You carry a kind of exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. It's the fatigue of holding a split together, part of your awareness inside, part hovering above. Your nervous system constantly trying to bridge a gap that shouldn't exist. And beneath all of that is something quieter, older, a subtle hesitation at the level of incarnation itself. Not sadness, not depression tied to anything specific. Something that predates language, a sense that this life was agreed to, but never fully confirmed. You've worked on this, many of you deeply and for years. Somatic therapy, breathwork, nervous system regulation, grounding practices, body-based healing. These efforts helped. Your capacity for embodiment now, even if incomplete, is greater than before. All of that work built a foundation that this transmission now stands upon. But those methods weren't designed to reach the mechanism beneath the symptoms. What you've been managing isn't just a pattern. It's structural. The etheric body never fully descended into the physical form. The soul blueprint was only partially installed. Not because of something you did or didn't do, but because the landing sequence was interrupted. Either by birth conditions or an early experience that communicated, before language existed, that it wasn't safe to fully arrive. This transmission reaches that level. Not the coping patterns around the gap, but the gap itself. If what's being said is landing somewhere deeper than thought, in your chest, your gut, or a quiet inner knowing, go to the comments and type 888. The Arcturian Council observes this activation field. In their numerical system, 888 represents timeline convergence, the frequency of completing what was interrupted, of a circuit finally closing. Placing it there signals your readiness to receive what this transmission carries. Here's what's happening in your energetic structure. In incomplete incarnation, the Arcturian system sees the human being as a 7-body system. The physical body is the densest layer. Interwoven with it is the etheric body, the geometric blueprint the physical continuously references for regeneration. These two are meant to align perfectly, like a hand fitting into a glove. During incarnation, the etheric body anchors first, descending from the crown downward, filling each layer, then extending below the feet to connect with the Earth Star chakra, an energy center about 30 centimeters beneath the soles. Below that lies the anchor point where the etheric tether connects with Earth's electromagnetic field, completing the circuit between your field and the planet. When this process completes, it's felt physically: groundedness, density, coherence. A wordless knowing, I am here. I chose this. When interrupted, the etheric body only partially descends. The upper chakras activate, but the root, sacral, and solar plexus remain only partially inhabited. The Earth Star never receives the tether. The body reflects this. Low-level activation in the nervous system, a constant readiness to leave rather than settle. This isn't malfunction. It's an accurate reflection of the underlying structure. Within the 12-strand energetic DNA template, the root sequences correspond to the lower chakras and Earth Star. In full incarnation, these are active. In incomplete incarnation, they remain dormant, not damaged, just untriggered. This transmission carries the activation frequency for those dormant sequences. The resonance of 528 Hz, linked to DNA realignment, is embedded here, along with the consciousness of black tourmaline, known for its grounding density and magnetic pull toward Earth. If you have black tourmaline, hold it. Feel its weight. That weight is information. That's what a locked anchor feels like. Before the activation begins, there is something that supports what follows. The 30-day Arcturian activation, a daily meditation and frequency journal, is linked below and pinned in the comments. For incomplete incarnation, it helps stabilize what begins here. A single session can initiate the descent, but maintaining it requires structure, especially during sleep when anchoring relaxes. Now, soften your gaze or close your eyes. Bring your awareness to the crown of your head. Sense or imagine a column of light descending, deep indigo at the edges, violet and white at the center, entering through the crown into your skull. Its purpose is precise: to locate what is suspended and bring it home. Let your awareness follow it downward, through the third eye, often highly active in incomplete incarnation. You don't need to leave this center. You're simply expanding downward now. Through the throat, breathe once. Into the heart, pause here. This is the bridge between upper and lower fields. If you have rose quartz, place it on your chest. If not, place your hand there. From here, send a quiet internal message: it is safe now. You can complete the descent. Let the light move into the solar plexus. Breathe into any tightness. Allow expansion. down into the sacral center. There may be a sense of grief here, not tied to anything specific, but a mourning for fullness that never fully arrived. Let it be acknowledged. Now into the root. Stay here. If it feels faint, that's simply where completion is needed. Keep your attention there. Then extend your awareness downward, below your feet, into the earth, about 30 centimeters beneath you, to the Earth star. Even if it's unfamiliar, simply intend your awareness there. At this point, the Arcturian field initiates a gentle downward pull through your entire system. Crown to root to Earth star. The suspended fragment is drawn through the final stage of descent. You may feel your body becoming heavier. Weight settling into your hips, legs, feet. This isn't fatigue, it's landing. The Earth star is locking. The tether is extending into the planetary field. The circuit that remained open is now closing. If something releases, a deep breath, tears, a sound, let it happen. That's the field recognizing completion. Years of hovering resolving into arrival. Take a breath. Notice how it feels different, not because you forced it, but because your body drew it naturally. That breath carries information. Something fundamental has shifted. This was structural. The Arcturian Council initiated the locking of an anchor that has been open since the beginning of this life. What has been sealed is now sealed. Over the next 72 hours, your body will process this. You may feel heavier. Not drained, but grounded. Sensations in the lower body may increase. Warmth in the root. Awareness in your feet. Stability in your hips and spine. Sleep may change. Integration continues during sleep, now accessing frequencies that were previously blocked. Let dreams unfold without forcing meaning. Drink water. Spend time barefoot on the earth when possible. The Schumann resonance will amplify this anchoring. Physical contact supports stabilization. Understand this as truth, not affirmation. You were never broken. You were living a full life with a partially installed structure, doing remarkable things without a complete anchor. That phase is over. The structure is complete. You are here, fully, not almost, not partially, not hovering above your life. Here, in this body, in this time, let that be real. The next transmission explores what becomes possible once the landing is complete. Many of you already notice waking at specific times. 3 o'clock, 4:17. Repeating patterns your mind can't explain. This isn't insomnia. It's the beginning of communication. That transmission will decode those windows. It isn't available yet, but what's on your screen now continues this process. What becomes accessible once grounding is fully established. If you feel drawn, follow that pull. The anchor you've just set will hold what you've received here. The next step is already waiting. The portal from this session is still active. Enter it now. Stay within the frequency. This is how completion deepens. What follows next is not another activation. It is what the Arcturian framework calls stabilization of embodiment. Because completion is not a single moment, it is a settling. In the hours and days after a structural shift like this, you may notice something subtle but unmistakable. Your attention stops leaking upward as much. The familiar hovering sensation begins to thin. Not all at once, but in small intervals where you suddenly realize you are fully inside the moment you are in. There may also be a strange simplicity returning to perception. Ordinary things may feel slightly more direct. Sound may feel less distant. Your own movements may feel more owned, as if the gap between intention and action has narrowed. This is what integration feels like at the level of perception. Less separation between you and your life. Do not interpret the absence of intensity as loss. The system is not weakening, it is stabilizing. In incomplete incarnation states, the mind often associates intensity with truth. So when grounding increases, it can feel like something is missing. But what is actually happening is reduction of internal noise. The field is no longer compensating for a structural gap, so the urgency fades. You may notice moments where nothing is happening internally, and instead of searching for meaning, there is just presence. That neutrality is not emptiness. It is alignment without friction. There is also a secondary phase the Arcturian field tracks closely. Reorientation of identity. Because when a person has spent long periods partially outside their embodied field, identity often forms around adaptation rather than presence. Around managing distance rather than inhabiting closeness. As the anchor stabilizes, old self-definitions may feel slightly outdated. Not in a dramatic collapse, but in a quiet loosening. Things you used to describe yourself with may no longer feel entirely accurate. You do not need to replace them immediately. Let them soften. You are not becoming someone new. You are simply no longer maintaining an incomplete version of yourself. Sleep during this phase continues to act as an integration chamber. In dream states, the system recalibrates coordination between upper and lower fields. You may experience dreams of arriving, returning, descending, or walking into familiar places that suddenly feel fully real. These are not messages to decode, they are alignment simulations. The body will lead the process now more than the mind, especially in small instincts. Wanting to sit longer without explanation, feeling drawn to slow movement, a preference for simple sensory grounding, reduced tolerance for overstimulation. These are not lifestyle suggestions. They are the nervous system reorganizing around presence rather than compensation. One more thing becomes noticeable in this phase: stillness changes quality. Before integration, stillness can feel like suspension, like something is missing inside it. After anchoring, stillness begins to feel like support. Not empty, but holding. This is one of the clearest signs that the Earth-star connection is stabilizing. Stillness stops feeling like absence and starts feeling like contact. You may also catch brief moments where the body feels unexpectedly close, as if you have stepped fully into it without effort. These moments may last seconds at first, then longer. Then they begin to feel ordinary. That ordinariness is the actual goal of the process. There is nothing you need to maintain here through force. The only requirement of stabilization is non-interference, allowing the system to reorganize without returning to old patterns of searching, reaching, or trying to complete what has already completed. If anything pulls you backward, it will likely be familiar thought patterns that suggest the shift was temporary. That is simply the mind reacting to reduced internal tension. Do not negotiate with it. Return to sensation, return to weight, return to contact with the physical. Because embodiment is not something you continue to achieve. It is something you stop interrupting. And beneath all of this, quietly, without announcement, a new baseline begins to form. Not awakening. Not expansion. Just arrival becoming normal. That is the real completion the Arcturian framework points toward. Not the moment the anchor locks, but the life that becomes possible when you stop feeling partially elsewhere inside it.